Maqasidic Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Assalamu alaikum. SunnahFollowers presents a new class, the Maqasidic Tafsir, being taught and brought to you by Ustada Laila Nasheeba. Please stay tuned, streaming on all major platforms, right here on channel SunnahFollowers.
What I'm going to do is go over what are some of the symptoms of a hardened heart. And all of us, I've taught this class before, okay, for my students. A lot of the things I'm going to be speaking about tonight in regards to symptoms of a hardened heart. Many of you as my students should already know this, because I've taught this class many times. In fact, I teach it every year, but this is just the first time that I'm teaching it from a book other than my PowerPoint. And so let's put the PowerPoint up on the screen, and I want everybody to take a look at it. This is the picture of the book. If you go to Amazon.com, this is how the book looks, the Maqasidic Tafsir, Volume 2. That's a picture of Dr. Karim Abuzaid, so you know who he is. And in this day and era, living in 2025, you need to know who you're taking your information about Islam from. That's why I use the pictures of the brothers and myself, so you can know. I mean, I've been giving dawah for over 50 years. No one ever knew how I looked, because I never used a video until 3 years ago, because it's so bad, we have to know who we're learning from. So we're going to cover tonight the symptoms of a hardened heart. But before I get to the symptoms, I have a couple of questions from the other day. We talked about the heart of the human being. And we talked about Allah. Let's see how well you guys can pull from your hearts this knowledge, this understanding. We spoke about how our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, because Islam is based on evidence from Allah and his messenger. It's not based on opinion or assumptions that we make. And there's too many opinions out there about this religion. Too many opinions about the lawful and the unlawful. Too many assumptions about this religion. Too many assumptions about the lawful and the unlawful. Islam is based on fact. And as a true daya, I don't deal with assumptions. You know what assumptions make you. And I don't deal with opinion. I deal with facts. Okay? And also I'm a legal investigator. Facts. All right. We talked about how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah looks at two things. He only concerns himself with two things about a human being. What are the two things? The only two things that Allah concerns himself with about you and me? Is it your heart and your soul? Are the two things only that Allah looks at? Or is it your heart and soul? Or is it your heart and your deeds? Is Allah only concerned with your heart and your deeds? Or is it your heart and your mannerisms? Is Allah only concerned with our heart and mannerisms? Or is it the heart and the fitra that Allah looks at? Does Allah only look at the heart and the fitra of a person? Which answer is correct?
The heart and fitra.
Okay, Sister Nia said the heart and fitra. What do you guys think in that Zoom room about her answer? Do you think it's the heart?
I think it's your heart and your deeds.
Okay, Amina Fresno says your heart and deeds. Anybody else? Everybody agree? What do y'all think? Who's correct, or are they both wrong?
I agree with Fresno.
Okay, mashallah, and you guys are correct, and the sisters on YouTube got it right too, and also the new shahadas in the Reddit group, you got it right too. Good job, Brother Ahmed too. Good job. Excellent. Excellent. Allah doesn't care about your money, how much money you got. He don't care if you famous. He don't care about none of that stuff. The only thing about us as human beings that Allah looks at is our heart and our deeds. Why is the answer not the heart and soul? Can anybody explain why the soul was not one of the answers?
Because the soul is criminal by nature anyway.
Exactly. The human soul is criminal by nature. We already know that. Our soul is bad. The soul is bad and dirty. It's attracted to what's bad and dirty. So we should know. That's why I told one of the sisters in my Q&A class, she said, should she follow her soul? No, if you follow your soul, you're going to end up in hell, because the soul is attracted to everything that's bad and dirty. So no, we don't follow our soul. You follow your soul, that's an easy way to end up in the hellfire. Okay, and why is not the answer manners? Why is it that Allah doesn't look at your manners? Can anyone answer that? What is it about manners? Just think, guys. I want you guys to do some intuitive thinking. Just think. Why come I can't say that Allah looks at my manners?
Because I say, for one, if you have bad manners, you could change them to good manners. They switch.
What does that have to do with the answer? Can't we change bad deeds into good deeds? Do y'all know what manners are? What are manners? Think about what manners are. When I talk about your manners, what am I talking about you? You should know if you know what manners are. This answer is common sense. Anyone else?
It's basically like your soul. Your manners is like your soul. It's criminal. The way you act is your manners. And if your soul is done took over, you're acting badly.
Okay, exactly. She's kind of hitting on it. Yeah, but she's trying to, if she gave it a little bit more thought, she get it right. Yes. Manners is your character. And whatever your character is a reflection of what? My character is a reflection of what? If I'm good or bad, I'm a reflection of what? What's in my what?
Of you, of yourself.
No. What is this?
The essence of you.
Oh, God. Thank you, Anissa. Go back to sleep. Our actions lie where? Where does your actions emanate from? Where do your actions come from?
Our environment and what we were taught. Heart.
Okay, so now answer the question. If actions come from my heart, why come I can't say heart and manners? Common sense, put it together, guys. Actions come from your heart. So what does that mean? I'm giving you a double negative. Basically, I'm asking you, Allah looks at your heart, your heart, your heart, your heart. I'm giving you a synonym for the word heart. Your actions are what comes from your heart. So that's not an answer. I'm giving you the same answer, just using another English word. Y'all got to learn how to think. Good job, Amina. You were almost there. Yeah, you were saying it. Okay, so your manners are your heart. Your manners come from your heart. Your manners still stem from your heart. So if I got bad manners, what does that mean, Anissa? If I got bad manners, what does that mean, Anissa?
It means your heart is tainted. Your heart is not clear. Your heart is not true.
Okay, I want you to just keep it clear. If I have bad manners, that means I have a bad what?
Heart.
Thank you, Amina. Don't make it hard by trying to get all flowery. Bad manners means that she has a bad heart. Okay. What if I had bad character? What does bad character mean, Fatima? Fatima, if I have bad character, what does that mean about Layla? If Layla's character is bad, that means Layla has what? Anissa?
Bad heart. You got a bad heart.
Exactly. Character and manners is your heart, Fatima. Your heart. You can tell a man, what did the Prophet Muhammad said? You can tell whether or not a person has a good heart by looking at their manners, by looking at their behavior, by looking at their actions, because all actions stem from the heart. All characteristics stem from the heart. All manners come from the heart. So a person with bad manners is a person has a bad heart. A person with good manners, that's a person has a good heart. And that's what the Prophet meant when he was asked, who amongst us make the best Muslims? What was the Prophet's answer? Who can remember? When he was asked, who amongst us make the best Muslims? What was his answer, guys?
Those who are good. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, say it again.
I was going to say those who were good before Islam, like in their mannerisms and just being a good person.
Okay, and what was the other person saying?
Oh, I said those who are best in character before Islam.
Exactly. Those who had the best manners and the best character before Islam make the best Muslims. Why? Because they had good hearts. Because they had good hearts. Y'all understand? If I'm a thief, if I'm a murderer, if I'm a liar, if I'm a cheat, what kind of heart do I have? Do I have a good heart? These are not hard questions, guys. This is common sense. What's wrong with y'all? Is a liar, a cheat, a murderer? Is Charles Manson a man that we can say has a good heart? Can we say that Jeffrey Dahmer has a good heart? No, he was a horrible person. He had terrible manners, terrible character. Your character, your manners is a reflection of your heart. That's what the Prophet taught, and that's what I teach y'all. Y'all don't get it? The Prophet said, choose your friends wisely.
Yes.
Choose them based on their character, their manners, because that shows if they have what? A good heart. Why would I pick a friend? I'm going to make the next door neighbor. She's a prostitute. Am I going to make her a friend? No, she's got a bad heart. Okay? The neighbor next door, she's a nurse. She takes care of the sick. She's kind to her animals. She has 2 dogs. She takes good care of them. She comes home from work to take them out for walks to use the bathroom. That's a sign of what kind of heart does she have? A good heart.
Good heart.
So the heart is the home of your manners. The heart is where your manners lie. The heart is where your character lies. Your personality lies in the heart. Everybody understand that. So that's why we can't say Allah looks at the heart and manners, because I'm basically saying the same thing. Allah looks at the heart and the heart. But heart and deeds. What's another word for deeds? When I say Allah looks at your heart and your deeds, what am I saying?
Action.
Exactly, actions. Because all actions come from the heart. Manners is the heart. What about this? Why come we can't say the heart and the fitra? Why come I can't say
It's
Allah
just
looks
like saying the heart in the heart.
again?
The fitra.
Yes, good job, Fraser, you got it. Because it's just like repeating it. Where's the fitra? The fitra is the good part of your heart that you have let die out. So it's the same thing. So all I did here was play the word game with y'all. Y'all see how I'm gonna make y'all learn your language. This is the science of the Quran. I'm one of those people. What did I tell y'all when I first started teaching this class? I'm one of those people. I focus on linguistics. I use linguistics in my teachings. A lot of people used to say for years, they used to slander me. Oh, she's mean. I lost a marriage. They destroyed my marriage lying on me. Oh, that lady's mean. She's harsh. She act like we stupid. She act like we don't speak English. No, I'm a real teacher. I'm a real student of knowledge. I use the science of linguistics. That's how I learned this religion. I focused on the linguistics. And I focus on biography. And I focus on history. Those are the 3 areas of science I use. And connectivity. I use that too. I use them all. But I'm really a stickler on linguistics, just like Dr. Asim. He's a stickler on linguistics too, but his linguistics is the Arabic linguistics. I am a stickler on English linguistics because I know as a daya that most non-Arabic speaking Muslims don't understand their own language, especially English. Because English changes every day. So I'm going to make you learn your language and the meaning of these words that are over 4 letters. Most English-speaking people don't know the meaning of a word that's over 4 letters long. That's a fact. I'm going to make you learn the meaning. Because when you learn the real meaning, you can understand Allah's message better. So I was never mean. I was never evil. I was never ignorant. I was always a real teacher of this religion. And y'all just failed to accept it. All right. So that's why all I did is play the word game here. So Allah looks at 2 things, only 2 things. He looks at our heart to make sure our heart is good. Because if your heart is good, then he'll look at the next thing, which are your good deeds, and reward you for them. But if your heart is bad, then what does he look at? He looks at your bad deeds and punish you for them. See how simple that is in Islam? Doesn't that make sense, guys? And that's why I want.
Yes, it does.
See, I broke it down. Just tell your kids that. You better worry about your heart and your deeds. Don't worry about what the people say about you. Don't worry about what the other kids think because you got a hijab on. You shouldn't care what the other kids say because you don't have a boyfriend. You don't care what people say because you don't smoke cigarettes and you don't do weed. Because Allah don't care about that crap. What Allah cares about is your heart and your deeds. If your heart is good, your deeds will be good and you will end up in paradise. But if your heart is bad, your deeds are bad and you gonna bust hell wide open. That's what you tell your kids. And keep it real, just like that. Because kids hear real talk on the street. They don't hear that flowery stuff from their schoolmates. Okay? All right. Good job. Next question. This one's easier. Oh, I did it right. Yeah. Okay. We also spoke about how it's all about having a sound heart. Like I said, I play the word game. What does it mean to have a sound heart? Allah speaks about it in the Quran, the sound heart. What does he mean by having a sound heart?
The sound heart is strong. It is strong.
Okay, anybody else? What is a sound heart?
A sound heart is a heart that is content because it's not doing things that it's not supposed to, and it's not full of distractions or doubt, and it has certainty of faith.
Okay, both of you are right, but I like Akhmed's answer better. Real simple. What is meant by a sound heart? Simple English. As Ahmed said, a sound heart is a good heart. That's it. Sound, look it up in a dictionary, is a synonym for the word good. Y'all see that? We don't use the word sound, but back in the earth, centuries ago, decades ago, a man would say to his son, that was a sound decision that you made. Or a woman would tell her daughter, he's a sound man. We don't speak that way anymore. But sound means good. So when you're reading these hadiths and verses of the Quran, when you come upon the word sound, it's just a synonym for good. A good heart is one that obeys Allah. A good heart is one that does the deeds that are pleasing to Allah. A good heart is what it takes to enter into paradise. A good heart. So sound is just a synonym for good. Like I told y'all, what's Laila's specialty? Linguistics and history, but linguistics first. All right? Okay, so I just wanted to go over that because we're going to talk about sound heart. As we're speaking about how to soften the heart, most of the hadiths, when you read them in English, they use the word sound. They don't use the word good, they use sound. Sound means good. Okay? All right, so last question. Who of the following are examples of a hardened heart? Is it Pharaoh? Is it Abu Jahl, Abu Talib, Abu Lahab? Which
The
of
Pharaoh.
those? Okay, and could it be more than, and it can be more than one.
Yes.
Yes.
Pharaoh, Abu Jahl, and the last one. Abu Lahab.
Exactly. All of these men except for Abu Talib. Abu Talib's heart was not as hardened as the others. Okay. But Pharaoh, Abu Jahl, and Abu Lahab, their hearts were so bad that Allah mentions them as being cursed. Okay. Theirs were really hardened. Abu Talib's was hardened to the truth too. His heart was hard too, because he died as a non-believer, but it wasn't hardened like Pharaoh's, Abu Jahl, and Abu Lahab. And out of all four of these men, who had the worst heart of all? Whose heart was hardened worst of all of those four men?
Pharaoh.
Yes, Pharaoh. Pharaoh was. Pharaoh was. His was the hardest of all. Allah hates him. I think after Iblis, Allah probably hates him more than anyone else after Iblis. Okay? So, a hard heart. This is a heart that's not receptive to Allah. This is a heart that's not receptive to Islam. When you die a non-believer, that's a hard heart. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is speak about today's topic is all about symptoms. What are some signs or symptoms that a person may be suffering from a hardened heart? Well, the hardening of the heart is a disease that strikes the spiritual center of the body, which is the heart. And it infects the entire body because, again, whatever's in the heart is going to show through your actions and your emotions and your thoughts. You got bad thoughts, you got bad heart. You got some diseases of the heart. You got bad emotions. That means something's going on in your heart that shouldn't be going on. That's why I tell you, sisters, y'all better avoid that depression. Depression, you never allow yourself to get to the point of depression, because once you hit the level of depression, it's hard to pull yourself back. You have to recognize the symptoms of a sickened heart and prevent it from going through to depression. That's what we're going to talk about today. Listen to what the prophet, here's the dalil for everything that I was saying in that quiz. The prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said there's a piece of flesh in the body. If it is good, then the rest of the body is good. But if it is bad, then the rest of the body is bad. And that's the heart. So there's my dalil. Hardened hearts. A hardened heart can be equated to a blind, deaf person. Imagine a person walking down the street. He can't see anything. He can't hear anything. He's not going to have a good ending. A person that's deaf, a person that's blind to the truth. Allah speaks about these people in the Quran, and he says that they're worse than animals, because animals, even though the animals can't think, the animals have instinct. They have a natural instinct that tells them, no, don't do this. This is bad. This is dirty. But we human beings are different. If you're blind and deaf to the words of Allah, there are no natural instincts. You will give in to your desires. That's why we have men laying with men today, women laying with women today, women and men laying with beasts today, with animals today. That's why we have all this murder, drugs, and all this bad, this killing that's going on in the world, because these are people who are deaf and blind. They're walking on this earth deaf and blind to the words of Allah. So they have hard hearts. They're just living their lives, giving into their desires. Unlike an animal that has instincts to stop, these people just do whatever feels good for them. That's what it's like to have a hardened heart. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. And we have certainly created for hell many of the jinn and many of the mankind. Why? Because they have hearts with which they do not understand. They have eyes with which they do not see with, and they have ears with which they do not hear. Those are like livestock. Rather, they are worse. It's because they're heedless. We talked about the sin of heedlessness. That heedlessness, it can become a sin of disbelief. You won't take heed to what Allah says. You're just like that woman, the woman that comes into my group. She's in here now. Here's a woman that joins all my classes, not to learn, but she wants to argue that despite being a woman, she can lead men in prayer. I don't know how else to describe this woman. She's worse than an animal. She's read the evidence. She knows what the prophet said about a woman leading a man in prayer. She knows what Allah has said about such issues, but she's heedless. She's saying Allah didn't say it. Somebody wrote it. The prophet didn't say that. And if he did, he didn't know what he was talking about. She's heedless. So she continues on being the imama of a mosque. She continues on giving khutbahs every Friday. She continues on leading men in prayer. She continues on giving marriages. Yeah, she does marriages. She's worse than a dog. She's just heedless. Okay? The scholar stated that we suffer from a sick, hardened heart if we have one or more of the associated symptoms and characteristics of spiritual blindness. And so that's why it's important for each and every one of us as believing Muslims to recognize and identify the symptoms of a hardened heart, and then take the steps to purify our hearts from this stuff. And that's what I'm going to go over with you right now. So what are some of the symptoms? And I want everybody to take screenshots so you can do your homework and evaluate yourself to make sure that you don't have any of these symptoms. If you do recognize a symptom, work immediately to clear yourself of it. And one of the symptoms is you're unaware of your deficits or misguidance. In other words, you're saying things and doing things that contradicts Allah's religion, and you're too stupid to even know it. Okay? That's a sign that you got a hard heart. Or you're living your life like the sister here, just disobeying Allah. Her heart is hard. She don't want to accept the truth. That's a sign of a hard heart. Or you're unwilling to do good deeds. You don't want to give in charity. You don't want to pray, so you're not praying your prayers every day. You want to continue to take baby steps, as we talked about the other day. You've been Muslim now for over a year, and you're still not praying every prayer. You're taking baby steps. You've been Muslim for 6 months, and you still don't know the Fatiha, the Tashahhud. That's a sign of a hard heart. Also, you're anxious. All of us are anxious. But you're so anxious that you're quick to lose hope. You have no hope. You always think the worst. You're too pessimistic. You're too pessimistic. You've been Muslim for 3 months and you still ain't wearing hijab. You have no peacefulness in your heart. All you think is the worst about things. That's a sign of a hard heart. Also, another sign, you don't benefit when people give you advice. We give you advice from Allah. We remind you what Allah says. We remind you what the Prophet says, and it doesn't affect you. Just like this sister, we show her the hadiths where the Prophet said any woman who leads a man in prayer, that the woman is cursed and the prayer is not accepted of the man. She doesn't care. It don't bother her. That's the sign of a hard heart. And also, Allah keeps sending punishment after punishment after punishment to you. And you still are not changing yourself. You done lost your job. You done lost your husband. Your kids are bad. You got an eviction notice. And you still don't understand that it's happening, that Allah is trying to tell you something, that you need to look at yourself. Because you ain't praying, because you ain't wearing hijab, that's where all these bad things are happening to you. That's a sign that your heart is too hard to even recognize it. Also, another sign, you don't recognize the power of Allah. A lot of Muslims suffer with this. Anytime something bad happens in your life, instead of you having hope and understanding that there is no power, there is no might other than Allah, you give in to the despair. You become a person that loses hope. You sink into depression. Like I said, the believer fights depression. The believer refuses to allow his or her personal jinn to make them become depressed. Also, another sign is you are in desperate need of the help of Allah, but you don't know how to ask for it. You don't know how to reach Allah to ask for it. How many of us are in that category? You going through some rough stuff, man, that only Allah can get you out of. But you are so dumb in your religion that you don't even know how to reach out to Allah to ask him to help you. That's pretty bad, ain't it? Another sign. Again, no hope. You think the worst. You think that Islam will fail. You don't see no success. You one of those people that blame it on your religion. Oh, ever since I became Muslim, you blame it on that. Well, I ain't gonna practice Islam because every time I practice Islam, something bad happens. I've heard Muslims say that. Every time I try to be a good Muslim, something happens and it just messes me up. So I'm just gonna, forget it. I'll be Muslim in my heart. Allah knows what's in my heart. And again, no matter what type of trials Allah send your way, you still won't change. Remember, guys, Allah doesn't change the condition of a person until that person takes the steps to change himself. Also, another sign of a hard heart is you don't see it. Everybody else can see how terrible you've become. Everybody else can see the darkness on your face. Everybody else can see how bad your life is, but you can't see it. How many of you know people like that? You tell them, what happened, bro? You don't look the same. Oh, what's going on, sister? There's a change in you. There's a change in your order, but you don't even see it. Everybody can see how you're falling off the wagon with Allah, but you. That's a sign of a hard heart. And again, blaming it on Allah. It's Allah's fault. Allah decreed for me to be this way. How many of you have heard Muslims say that? Allah did this. It's his fault. He meant for me to not have a husband and be on welfare and be living in the hood and be a drug addict. So pass the heroin. Pass the heroin. It's the decree of Allah. No, it ain't the decree of Allah. It's what you chose for yourself. Allah just knew that you would choose that for yourself. Allah just knew how weak you were. But don't blame the decree like that. You chose to be on that heroin. You chose to be a messed up loser. But you're going to blame it on Allah. Blame it on Islam. Blame it on the Prophet. A lot of Muslims today are doing that. A lot of our Muslim youth are not practicing this deen. They're blaming it on their failures in life on Islam. Also, another sign or another symptom of a hard heart is, again, you don't keep up with your prayers. Sometimes you pray and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you wear hijab, sometimes you don't. That's a sign that your heart is diseased. Also, this is a big one. You don't get angry when you see Allah's laws violated. One of the things that ticks me off, I can't stand to see how Muslims today will take the words of Allah or the hadiths of the Prophet and twist them around out of context. That makes me angry. It's supposed to make you angry when you see Allah's laws, his commands are violated. It should make you angry. That's the one time that we can get angry, is when we see Allah's laws, his religion being violated. But it don't bother you. You say, well, that's their problem. That's on him. No, that's on all of us. Because it's when we fail to speak out that Allah is going to punish us all. So it should make every Muslim angry to see Allah's commandments violated. You don't sit there and say that's on him. It should at least tick you off. Okay? Another sign of a hardened heart is you like to hang out in gatherings of slander. How many of you like to watch the Dower Brothers? The Dower Brothers on YouTube. All they do is debate and fight with each other. They got millions of followers. All they got to do is put out a posting saying they getting ready to debate another person about something in the religion. And they got 1 million people logged into their stream just watching the fight. You like that stuff. You like to be in gatherings that indulge in nothing but useless talk. That's a sign. That's a sign that your heart is hardened. Also, arrogance. You're too arrogant to accept the truth. You're too arrogant to accept that you was wrong. That's the sign of a hard heart. Also, being stingy and greedy. Also, not caring whether you are doing something wrong or not. How many of you, when you eat food, You don't read the back of the box to make sure ain't no pork in it. You just say, well, it's better if I don't know, and just eat it. When deep down you know that that food got some pork in it. You don't care about doubtful things. That's a sign that you have a hard heart. Also, another sign, you go around putting down the good deeds of other people. This is a lot of you sisters and brothers on the internet. I post a video up about Islam, about something that you don't know because you're a nobody. I'm just going to keep it real. You ain't nobody. So, of course, you don't know nothing. You want to belittle my video. You want to belittle my dawah. You want to belittle my deeds because you know deep down that you are nobody. And you're really jealous. That's a big problem with women, Muslim women. Why is it that I have more male followers than I do women, even though my dawah is directed to women? Because women are jealous of other women, especially if the woman is older than her and look better than her and got more intelligence than her about the deen. Oh, they'll belittle everything you do. That's why it's going to be more women in hell than men, guys, because women really suffer with belittling the good deeds that other people do, especially another woman. That's the sign of a hard heart. Also, another sign is you don't care about what happens to the Muslims. It should bother all of us to see the Muslims dying all over the world. Okay, don't get it twisted. We already know that whatever evil befalls us, we bring it on ourselves. Yeah, we know that. But it still should hurt you to know that your people, your nation has come to this. It should bother you. If it doesn't bother you, all you care about is you, and you, sign of a hard heart. Also, another sign, you don't have friendships within the Muslim community. I mean, I'm not saying that you're supposed to have a lot of friends, because even the Prophet Muhammad had more enemies than friends. But nobody wants to be around you at all? My God, nobody wants to be near you. When you enter a room, it's like the oxygen left out of it. That's a sign that something's wrong with you. That's a sign that your heart is tainted. And again, another sign of a bad heart or a hardened heart is, whenever bad things happen, instead of you handling it with dignity and balance, you panic and act stupid. You apostate. You take off your hijab. You stop praying. That's a sign that something's wrong with your heart. Okay? Another sign is you're too attached to the life of this world. How many of us are doing that? I got a few students here that used to come here, but they don't no more. They graduated from college, they got jobs, and now they're attached to the dunya. It's all about the dunya, living the life of Riley, traveling around the world like the Kafirs do. Party like it's 1999. All the money they making, they don't help their families. They don't donate to the website. They don't donate to the mosque. It's all about the money and spending it on clothes and makeup and jewelry and impressing the Muslims, showing, look what happened to me. Oh, I got a lot of students that happened to. Not to my twins, not to Fame and them, but I got some ex-students that used to come here that don't come no more. I haven't seen them in years. But I can look on their Facebook pages and see they living a life of Riley. And they're not even married. But they got nice big houses. They ride around in nice Porsches. They're attached to this dunya. That's a sign of a hard heart. Also, another sign, your speech is void of the etiquettes of the Quran and the Sunnah. In other words, all you talk about is the life of this world. You don't mention nothing about Allah, nothing about the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nothing about Islam. You can talk about the politics. You can talk about Trump. You can talk about the political situation in Syria, but you don't know nothing. And you don't mention nothing about Allah, nothing about the deen, nothing about the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, another symptom is you're always arguing with other people, debating with other people. And when you do perform your prayers, you only do the bare minimum. Whereas you used to do the winter prayer, whereas you used to do the sunnahs of the prayer, you stop doing that. You just do the minimals. And also, like I said, you stop coming to your faith-filled environment. You used to come to my classes. You stop coming. You stop coming here to learn Islam. You don't want to hear the reminders of Allah. All you care about is traveling the USA, showing off your sports car to your friends and others. All of these are symptoms. All of these are symptoms of a hard heart. How many of those symptoms apply to you? I don't want y'all to tell me. How many of those symptoms apply to me?